Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
It's Wellness Wednesday from In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. It's Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor, and it is Wellness Wednesday. Well, don't forget before we start to get your copy of the Dash for Good Health Southern Soul Cookbook. It is amazing. You can get it and a Coping with COVID face mask. All you have to do is post in the chat your email address, and we'll get your mailing address and get it out to you. It's really a great book and has some great recipes that you usually make, but now they're a little bit healthier. Plus, we talked to Dr. Damon Tweedy last week. He is the author of the book, Black Man in a White Coat. Now, remember, we talked about the 19th Annual Chronic Disease Symposium, June 3rd through the 5th, that is sponsored by SCDHEC. If you want a copy of the book, a complimentary copy of the book, you need to go ahead and register for that seminar. It's scchronicdiseasesymposium.org. Lauren, we have a graphic for that one too. Don't forget to go ahead and do that. Listen, it's National Public Health Week, and we'll talk about what that means for you, how you can get involved, and if you're in the market for a career change, this is a field that's very popular among recruiters. To lead the discussion, Krista Keesack, Physical Resources for the Community Director, also Suzette McClellan, Community Services Director in the PD region, and Lily M. Hall, she's Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID.
Thank you.
Great. We look forward to talking to you in just a minute. They'll join us today. But first, your COVID community updates. Governor McMaster is being sued by state employees. The ACLU says the return to in-person work on top of dropping mandatory mask requirement and offices not having enough time to adequately prepare for the return puts the almost 75,000 state workers at risk. Now, the suit asks the order be rescinded or at least delayed. Frontline workers who want to purchase their first home are getting a boost from SC Housing. The Palmetto Heroes program has allocated $50 million for police, healthcare workers, firefighters, teachers, and the military to get up to $12,000 in forgivable down payment assistance and a fixed rate 30-year mortgage at 2.75 interest rate. Now, for information, you can see the information on the screen. Call 800-432-5007 or visit schousing.com. Finally, with more people being eligible for the vaccine and President Biden requesting all Americans be cleared for the COVID shot this month, more walk-in clinics are actually being scheduled. Now, Prisma has opened several in Columbia, Orangeburg, and in Lexington Medical Center. They've shifted. Lexington Medical Center has actually shifted two of their clinics, including the one at Brooklyn Baptist Church, to walk-in. The information is on the screen and will be scrolling throughout the show. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID tests and vaccinations and flu shots. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. You can also go to gogettested.com. Now, there you can find appointments, locations, and get your results in 48 hours. Now, the DHEC Care Line is still open and available for information on testing, vaccines, and organizing a COVID screening at your event or your neighborhood, plus transportation to get a test if you need one. Speaking of transportation, if you live in Richland or Clarendon counties, paramedics there are actually doing in-person COVID screening. Call 911 for more information. Now, if you remember when we talked to Congressman Clyburn a couple of weeks ago, he said they're also working on getting in-person COVID vaccines. We'll let you know about that as they become available. Speaking about the COVID vaccine, you can get one at Lexington Medical Center, as I just said in the stories. Also, all vets are eligible to get your COVID vaccine, and the VA is handling all vaccines for all vets. Kroger pharmacies are also offering COVID vaccines throughout the state. Check the screen for details. And also the Target is also doing COVID vaccinations. If there is a CVS at a Target, they're handling COVID vaccinations also. Now, the Benedict College is hosting a vaccination clinic also. That's also sponsored by CVS. They're there Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. And as I said earlier, there are several walk-in clinics. You don't have to have an appointment, and you don't have to have parental consent if you're under 18, because, of course, 16-year-olds and above can get their COVID vaccination clinics. Again, that information is on the screen and we'll be scrolling throughout the show. Online registration for seniors is being done by Get Set Up. If you know someone that is having some challenges getting their COVID vaccine appointment and they're having some internet issues, you can go to Go Get Set Up. Now, we're going to be talking with the folks from the Comet bus system tomorrow, but they also are giving free rides to get your vaccine. Don't miss your shot. Get your COVID vaccine from the Comet bus system. Now, the Richland County Rental Assistance Program also opened yesterday. Remember, we talked to the folks from Richland County. If you are having some challenges paying your rent and paying your bills due to COVID, you can visit richlandcountysc.gov and apply for the thousands and thousands of dollars that they have for rental assistance right now. It's not only rental, they'll also pay a couple of your bills too. Of course, the NAACP Housing Assistance Program is still going on. Landlords, mortgage, and companies and tenants. And the South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services have collaborated for a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. We learned about that a couple of weeks ago from attorney Edie Lane. The City of Columbia's 6-month payment plan for water bills and payment assistance up to 75% off is still going on. And if you're having some problems with your online work and schooling, you can go to Rashonda Pratt's YouTube channel. She's got some excellent resources there. ACA, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, open enrollment is going on until August 15th. You've got till August 15th to get your health care. And as Rosalind Goodwin told us when she was here before, and she'll be with us again with the American Hospital Association, South Carolina Hospital Association, there are several low and no cost plans right now. So make sure you go to the website and check that out. And finally, Black Lives Matter Scholarship Fund is still going on. If you need some help getting, just kind of getting a little money, the Black Lives Matter has thousands of dollars, $3 million to African Americans. They are specifically working on transgender, single parents, and also those who have been incarcerated. Go to the website you see on the screen. Finally, the Urban League Young Professionals are having a voter registration drive this Saturday. You can see the information on the screen. They also need some volunteers. So if you are interested in volunteering, please see the information on the screen and then check it out. I'm Trey Taylor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Betty Fisher says she got her book. Great book. Thank you, Betty, so much. I appreciate you. Betty says, good afternoon. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen. Thank you so much for joining us, Mitchell. Yes, I have my head wrap right here. The only reason I'm not wearing it is because it is hot in here. My air went off in my office, so I had to do hair today. But shout out to the sister who does my hair, Samantha Clee. I hadn't gotten my hair done in, over a year. And so she had to cut a lot off. Nevertheless, I digress. Thank you, Mitchell. I appreciate it. You won't see it long. It'll be wrapped back up very soon. Listen, you are watching Coping with COVID. In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. If you are interested in a diabetes prevention program, check out the In It Together website and Facebook page for more information. We're actually streaming live with the In It Together Facebook page, so please go over there and like and share. Also streaming live on the TaylorMade production page. Please like, share, and follow so that not only you can watch Coping with COVID, you can also get all of your COVID-related updates. YouTube, we're streaming live on YouTube. Also want to say hi to all of the YouTubers. Thank you so much for watching, and please hit the subscribe button. Hey, don't forget, once again, if you want a copy of that Dash for Good Health Southern Soul cookbook and a Coping with COVID face mask, place your email address in the chat and we'll get your mailing address and get that out to you. And also, don't forget about Black Man in a White Coat. Dr. Damon Tweedy, he had a fascinating interview last week on coping with COVID. He's going to be at the National South Carolina Chronic Disease Symposium. Go ahead and register this week and you'll get a complimentary copy of the book. Well, it's National Public Health Week, and we're talking to Krista Keesack, Physical Resources for the Community, also Suzette McClellan, Community Services Director in the PD, Lily M. Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Ladies, thank you again so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great. So it's National Public Health Week, and that started Monday, April 5th through the 11th. This year's national theme is Building Bridges to Better Health. Tell me, what exactly is public health? Anybody can answer. Suzette, why don't you take it?
Okay. Well, public health is basically working together with all community organizations, governmental organizations, particularly the health department system in the state of South Carolina. And we're preventing disease and promoting health. So again, it's it's population-based health. So it's looking at the community as a whole, the state as a whole, a county as a whole, and it's looking at promoting that population-based health through disease prevention methods as well as through health promotion methods. So it could be through healthy eating, physical activity. It could be about preventing stress in your life, not using tobacco products. Also about getting vaccinated. We'll be talking more about COVID vaccines, and you've been scrolling some stuff. Getting vaccinated is a good way. Flu vaccines, now the COVID vaccines, all of those types of things are part of public health.
Why is it important, Lily, to have a public health week?
It's important because, and if anything can really attest to this, is the pandemic that we're going through, how important it is. It has changed the face of how people view public health. And it's important because of, having this week, it sort of highlights, both celebrates and highlights the public health professionals that are at hard work and have been over the last year, as well as celebrating the accomplishments, because people don't really realize where public health is, and it's all around you. They don't realize it's the air we breathe, it's the water we drink, it's the things that, keep us safe, the streets and things like that. So it is very important. And having this time is really needed now to highlight it. The pandemic has really highlighted it, a whole lot. And more people are paying attention and understanding that they have to take care of their health. But this making it more aware that people will, take advantage of the programs such as what you have right now, the resources, the partnerships, and everything that is a part of public health.
Yeah, I want to remind everyone that information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Several resources are available, including COVID testing, COVID vaccinations, also financial help if you need it, job openings, things of that sort. So please don't forget to check the scroll at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So has COVID affected public health, ladies? And if so, how? Krista, do you want to jump in? Oh, anybody?
Yeah. No, go ahead, Krista. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. So COVID has definitely affected, I think in both, positive and negatives. A lot of people are paying more attention to it, and they're paying attention to what they can do and what impacts they have. But also, with a lot of the things that have been going on, people may not think that our public health system is doing all that it can. So I think it's really, really important for everyone to pay attention to what is available to them through the public health system, and just seeing how it really is so interconnected and how we all really have a place to play in it. It can really have a great impact if we're all doing our part.
Yeah. And Krista, we're going to talk to you later on in the show about some things that people can actively do. And walking is a big thing. But you guys say, again, this is the week, building bridges to better health. And there is a focus every day. So let's start with the Monday's focus, which was rebuilding. Can you talk about that, Suzette?
With rebuilding is just looking at getting everybody back together. pulling everybody back together. We've all been social distancing and doing all the things that we needed to do to protect ourselves during the pandemic. So that whole rebuilding concept is an opportunity to come back together, to pull together and focus together, to let people know that things are going to get better. They are in the process of getting better. Part of that is still wearing our masks, still doing some of that physical distancing, and also getting vaccinated, getting tested, getting vaccinated. All the things that we've been doing, we need to continue doing so that we can all come through this together. So that rebuilding is kind of putting the bridge back together.
Right, right. Now, yesterday, Tuesday, advancing racial equity. Lily, you want to chime in on that one?
Sure. It's very important because I think most people understand that throughout this pandemic, it has revealed a lot of those inequities. It has revealed a lot of areas that we have a lot of work to do. And highlighting that has made it more important that we had a day this week to talk about that more so than ever. And there's resources everywhere, and there'll be some websites, et cetera, that we will share with the population for visiting and getting resources and information on how they can be a part of improving and enhancing the discussions that are going on around racial inequities that are currently, being revealed just this whole year. And I think everybody has been touched in some way by some type of inequity. And this has really revealed a lot. So we just have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you made an interesting point, and we've talked about that here on the show. I think a lot of people, mostly Black and brown people, recognize that there was not racial equality in our healthcare system. I mean, like in our lives in general. But I think COVID, the pandemic, really shone a spotlight on how it is very much not only the have and the have-nots, it's the Black and the browns and the others, So, I really am hoping, I'm telling you, I'm really hopeful and love that this was one of the themes of this National Public Health Week, that this is a turning point for us to really key in on some of the things that we learned this year, this whole year. It's going on, it's over a year now, a little over a year now. Some of the things that have kind of been brought out, and that we're able to do some things better, personally and professionally,
That's right. And if I could add to that, one of the things, and you brought up another great point, because we sometimes use the words equality and equity interchangeably.
Right.
And so this is a great time to highlight, what it means to be inequitable, and how we're doing a lot of the vaccination clinics, explaining that and sharing that out with the public to let them understand that we're trying to do this with a equitable approach to make sure that we're reaching those vulnerable populations that need to be reached, more so than ever. And so highlighting that the other day and getting people to start those discussions and those conversations about it, and how is it and why, and what can we do to change it? What's the difference between equality and equity, and why it's important to have both?
Well, why don't you chime in, Lily, and tell folks what is the difference between equality and equity? And then let's talk a little bit about some of those conversations that, ensued yesterday during this Advancing Racial Equity Day.
Sure. And some people may be very familiar with an infographic that and some, if you haven't seen this, I'll describe it as best as I can so that everyone can hear it. But you may have seen an infographic that showed there was 3 people who were trying to watch a baseball game, and each one of them were given the exact same box to try to look over a fence to watch the game. You had one that was a little taller than another. You had one that was, maybe a medium height. And then you had a very short one who was unable to see the game at all. And it was because they were all equal. They had all received the same size box to stand on to watch the game. So equity comes in when you're able to give the people what they need so that they can see the game. So the one that's the tallest, they're able to stand on one box. But that medium height one may need 2 boxes to stand on so that they can also see the full game. And then the short one that was unable to see anything over the fence may need 3 boxes. So that's the equity piece. You're giving them what they need so that they're all equal. All of them are receiving boxes and they're receiving assistance to see the game. But it took a different level of boxes for each one to view.
Yeah.
So
And
that is an easy way. Yes.
yeah, and that's the thing, when we talk about and I don't want to harp on this, but this is just such a big issue in our country right now when we talk about blank matters. Everybody matters, but everybody needs something different for it to be equal. Like you said, they all had a box, but they needed each a different kind of box or a different size box or more boxes than the other. So,
Right.
and that's why I'm really glad to hear about this 4.7 million additional dollars that have been allocated, particularly for minority COVID outreach, because I've said so many times on this show, it's going to take something different for folks in the rural communities, for folks that are Black and brown to get the vaccine, because one, because the challenges are different.
Yes.
Because the challenges are different. So, I've said before, when in Rome, you have to do what Romans do. And in Black Rome, we need a little something different than what they may need in some other parts of Rome. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Krista Kisak joins us, Physical Resources for the Community, Suzette McClellan, Community Service Director in the PD. And we were just talking to Lily Hall, Community Service Director in COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. It's Building Bridges to Better Health. It is a National Public Health Week, and we're talking about exactly what public health means. And they had a concentration for every day. We've got the website showing right now, nphw.org. If you want more information about National Public Health Week. And this is the website right here. Now, today was about strengthening the community. Hey, Krista, can you key in on that? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So with public health, we've talked about, community is a big piece of it, and having everyone do their part, like we mentioned before. Public health is all about preventing and promoting, and we can't do that without the community and everyone being a part of it. So we need to strengthen, the bonds that everyone has, get everyone involved, because we all can make a difference, and every little thing that we do really can, help promote public health and promote health in general. And I think that allowing every organization and every community to have their own piece in that is really important and really crucial. So just, getting the word out that the community members and community organizations are all super important for improving our health for the nation and for the world is truly important. And so we all, having a special day for that today is really unique in that it's really important.
Right. So you strengthen the community so that there's more community involvement around public health, a kind of each one reach one kind of concept?
Yeah, in a way. And also just, strengthening each different sector of public health, because it is so wide, and there's so many different sectors of it and so many different pieces and parts that go into making it work the way that it does.
Mm-hmm. Tomorrow is Galvanizing Climate Justice. Suzette, can you speak on that?
Yes, if we think about what's going on today in the world and with global warming and how many things are happening and the major changes we've been having in weather systems and the impact that it's had on so many lives and so many families, from hurricanes to tsunamis to floods. I mean, it's just like one weather event after the other that has to do with global warming. So climate justice is also in line with racial equity. And when we're talking about equity, we're talking about equity and climate justice, because some individuals in lower income neighborhoods are impacted more greatly than others and do not recover from that. So some entire neighborhoods get wiped out and people never recover from it. They just move somewhere else or go live with other relatives instead of rebuilding, because they do not have all of the resources to rebuild. So when we're looking at that, advancing galvanizing climate justice, then we're looking at ways when all communities, we're talking about strengthening communities also, where we can strengthen all communities, that all communities, if they are impacted by these major climate changes, can adjust and rebuild their lives.
Yeah, you know what, Suzette, you make such a great point because last week on the program, I think last Thursday, we talked to attorney Edie Lane, and she was talking a little bit about mortgage assistance, rental help for people that were affected by COVID. And she made an interesting point that the CDC actually allocated funds to make sure people were in housing because it was a public health issue. If people are affected, as you were saying, by, I mean, I think about all of the floods and the hurricanes, particularly, we're all in South Carolina. And I remember several years ago that influx of folks from New Orleans came because they were affected, so many, I can't remember the name of the hurricane, but that is a public health issue if you have an insurmountable amount of people that are homeless, nowhere to go. That becomes a public health issue. So you're right. Climate change has to be talked about, when you're talking about public health.
Right. That is true. And like I said, it impacts so many lives on so many levels. Yeah. And it's a great equalizer, whether you have the $10 home or the $250 home, it can wipe out a hurricane or a tornado could wipe out both.
Yeah. That's Susan McClellan. She's a community service director of the PD. We're talking about a National Public Health Week. Go to mphw.org for more information. We see the website right here, and you can get more information from the website for the National Public Health Week. Now, Friday, constructing COVID-19 resilience. Lily?
Yes, we talked earlier about the inequities that have, we've had a huge spotlight on throughout the pandemic. And so, we also talked earlier about partnerships. We alluded to that, and that, not one entity can do this alone. So it really takes, building up those public health partnerships. And there's a lot of agencies who do not realize that they are public health entities. And so public health is much broader than just a health department or even a health system. It's anyone who is working to promote and enhance, healthy and safe communities for the public. And so this was also a time, so tomorrow, Friday will be a time where we get to highlight what some of those partnerships are. What are some of the resources that are being provided through agencies and how they sort of fit into this puzzle of public health? A lot of times the law enforcement may not realize that they're part of public health. You may have someone working in mental health, even though they have health in the title, may not realize that they're part of public health. What are those things that you can do to help build up, being able to go through such a pandemic as we're going through now? And your show, for one thing, actually enhances that and promotes that as well, that people get to see this is how we cope with COVID. This is how we build that resilience. We share these resources. We help each other. And that's what everything that we do is founded on in public health. It's about just looking at that broader population scope that Suzette mentioned earlier. So that day to highlight what all of those partnerships are, what people are able to provide to the community and how they can come together. Because what we've learned throughout this is working with some of the partners and our teams, both Suzette and myself, our teams work in the community. That is what they specialize in. They're participating on coalitions. They facilitate and lead some of those coalitions. They're out there working to pull together resources. So they may be sitting at a table with 10 different agencies or groups, and they're helping to be that gel to help them figure out how they can come together. So this is that time on Friday where we get to talk about what are those resources and how do we build them together.
Wow. And then, of course, on Saturday, we're going to talk about this, Krista, and then take a break. Uplifting mental health and wellness. That's a big one, particularly, in the midst of COVID. Again, that's one of those things I think, and I'm telling you, and Krista, it's such a big, it's the elephant in the room, for all communities. Yeah. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Even looking, at the show's title, Coping with COVID, everyone has had to really figure out how to get through this. And mental health and mental wellness has been, it's always been important, but it's really been highlighted over, this past year, because we've all been isolated. We've all had, very little social connection, and mental health affects so many different people. I think it's like 1 in 2 people are affected by mental health. And, that can come in so many different shapes and forms, and how it shows itself in each person. And so it's really important for us to, end the stigma around mental health and mental illnesses and things like that. And so just speaking about it and uplifting those who, not only those who struggle with it, but just everyone, because, we need more information out there on how to get through it, what resources are available, and just, making everyone feel comfortable in talking about it. I think that's also a really big thing. And, like Lily said, your show is doing really well with that, and just getting the word out and talking about these important issues. So I think that this day is honestly one of the most important ones. And, it ties back with any of the other days, because, you're dealing with those inequalities, because different races and different age groups and things like that are affected differently. So it's really crucial that we talk about it and get the word out, and just get those resources out to help people get through, especially in this difficult time. Hopefully we're getting through it in the future, hopefully soon. But, just getting all that information out to everyone is super important.
Yeah, and you mentioned, people are coping with COVID. They're coping with unemployment. They're coping with deaths of family members, housing, we talked about earlier. And everybody deals with things differently. And that's the thing that I hope this week brings about to folks, that it's not just someone who may have a mental health issue that you can see, someone who's bipolar, schizophrenic, somebody, because we look at mental health as, oh, you're crazy, or, somebody's going around saying things. But you could just be crying uncontrollably. You could be eating uncontrollably. You know what I mean? They're little subtle things that mean your mental health is just a little bit off because you are trying to cope, so to speak. And that little thing, if it's not addressed, if we don't call it what it is, because of fear of saying that I have a mental health issue, then it's going to do nothing but blossom into you being on the side of the corner, doing blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Because it just doesn't start like that. You don't go from 0 to 100.
Right.
So that's the big thing. There's so many people that have gone through so many things this year. And I just want people to be okay. One, recognizing that maybe I'm a little bit off. And if you know someone who is acting a little bit off, saying, listen, can I talk to you, or can I call somebody for you, because this has been a year. And it's okay if you're having a mental health day, month, week, year, you've had a lot to do.
I think also, a lot of people are going through it. So some people may think that, it's only them, or that they're the only ones feeling that way. But guarantee talking to a couple of people, and you'll have very similar feelings or emotions or just thoughts of everything that's been going on over the past months and year.
Yeah. I want to say hi to Renee Nelson. Thank you so much for watching Coping with COVID. I want you guys to post and share this information out, because we are talking about National Public Health Week. We're talking to Krista Kesak, Physical Resources for the Community, Suzette McClellan, Community Service Director for the PD, and Lily Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. When we come back, we'll talk more about National Public Health Week and how we can engage and get our families going also. Plus, public health is a career that is among the most popular as far as hiring right now. What is it, and how you can be involved? That's coming up next on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor.
Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.
When it's time for you, I have all anything, money, finances, access to. That's what save you money. Davis Tax Service. Only tax drive through. Davis Tax Service. Look up,
Visit Davis Tax Service today, 803-419-1001.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives. But when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there, and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Our lives have been turned upside down by COVID-19. When a vaccine becomes available, it's critical that all of us get it. What we do as individuals will impact everyone's health, including those who can't get the vaccine. We won't get through this unless everyone takes part. Now is the time to get up to date on all recommended vaccines for both kids and adults. Experts say it's more important than ever for everyone to get their flu vaccine this year. And if you're older, you should get both the flu and pneumonia vaccines, since both illnesses can make COVID-19 even worse. Vaccines are available at a lot of convenient places, so be an example for friends and loved ones and encourage them to get vaccinated too. We all want to reunite, travel, and get back to school and work. But that means we all need to get on board. This is the time to do what's right for each other. Get vaccinated. It's our best shot.
In it together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. I'm Trey Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, don't forget to post, share, like, and follow the In It Together page on Facebook and also the Taylor Made Production page on Facebook so that you can get all of your updates and know about coping with COVID. Hey, don't forget too, we're giving away this copy of the Dash for Good Health Southern Soul Cookbook. This is such a great cookbook. It's just so easy to read, great recipes that you would normally make, but they've got a little healthy twist on it. All you have to do is put your email address in the chat and we'll reach out to you, get your mailing address. You don't have to put your mailing address in there, but we'll get your mailing address and mail it out to you. It's the Dash for Good Health Southern Style Cookbook. The other thing, I want you to get a copy of this book. Do you remember last week when we talked to Dr. Damon Tweedy? He's author of the book, Black Man in a White Coat. He was fascinating last week. He's going to be the guest speaker at the 19th Annual Chronic Disease Symposium, June 3rd through the 5th. Go to South Carolina, scchronicdiseasesymposium.org. Register for the symposium and get a complimentary copy of the book, Black Man in a White Coat. I'm Trey Taylor. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council present Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. Go ahead and post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. We're talking about National Public Health Week. The theme this year is Building Bridges for Better Health. We're talking to Krista Keesack. She's Physical Resources for the Community, Suzette McClellan, Community Service Director in the PD, and Lily Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Ladies, thank you again so much for joining us. When we left, we were talking about the 6 days, and we stopped with Sunday. Sunday is Elevating the Essential and Health Workforce. Tell us about that, Suzette.
Well, when we look at the essential and health workforce, COVID has definitely, the pandemic highlighted the need for public health, the need for nurses, the need for doctors, but also those who run the grocery stores, those who drive the buses, those who teach in the school system. So it's highlighted that we're all essential in the impact that we make and the work that we do. You in communicating information out to individuals. So there's so many levels that individuals need to be highlighted, but it did highlight the public health system a lot and the role of the public health system. I know a lot of people really did not know what the public health system was we did until this time, and there's so many different jobs and careers within public health. We have environmentalists, we have health educators, we have nurses, we have physicians, we have administrators. There are people who do the media, the outreach, all of those. So it's all these various areas that are needed in order to help protect the health of the public and to promote health within South Carolina. So again, and DHEC, our motto is that we always want to see healthy people living in healthy communities.
Yeah.
And that is what we're working on. And I think anything that we do, and Chris is going to highlight some physical activity and how that can make families healthy. So overall, that population health, but needing that workforce to help with that also.
Yeah, and we are going to get a little bit into that, Suzette. Thank you so much for focusing on that, because you're right. I think the public health career, the field, has just kind of gotten out front there because of the pandemic. Now, has this been a conference? You guys said that the conversation has been around these 7 topics all week. So how did that conversation facilitate? Was there actual conference? Were a couple of people kind of sitting around conversing about it? How were those conversations being done?
Okay.
Well, I was going to say that it comes because we have people already out in the field. We have people just really, just everywhere. And because public health has sort of been heightened, we get inquiries from all over the place. So the conversation can be in a variety of venues. It just comes up in presentations. It comes up, we get the question, no matter if we're doing, virtual or in person, whatever meetings that we have on the books, there's always questions about the public health careers, and people just are very interested because, like Suzette mentioned, they did not know or were not aware that we had so many different roles in public health, and how they, no one up until a couple of weeks ago, at least didn't ask me about. I didn't know y'all had a pharmacist, at the health department. I said, yeah, we do. Oh, y'all got social work too? Yeah, we do. So It made them very curious about the different roles. And so what I found in some of those conversations is that people were wanting to start out by volunteering first. And so we have a huge volunteer corps, the Public Health Reserve Corps, that people can start there. And even if they were particularly interested in just doing some COVID work, we even have opportunity there that people can go through a very easy email. It's just COVID volunteer, at dhec.sc.gov. And I'll post that in a second. Please, that people can actually reach. And if they're interested in being a volunteer, but it generally starts with them, interested and just a lot of questions because they want to know, well, you know what, I'm interested in that. But I didn't know that public health, carried that degree or that career. So it has really highlighted so much. And now really, people are seeing more often than not the importance of not just, general care in the public, but what roles they can do. And understanding the connection between public health. And we mentioned this earlier too about resilience, helping find out where people fit in this puzzle and what they can do to help build resilience, because we have to be prepared the next time this happens. It's not if, it's when it happens. Coming together is huge. So this whole week, even though it's about, building those bridges, that is resilience. How do we build those connections? And it starts with people with the interest in wanting to take some of these careers on. So we're very happy in those conversations to talk with people and share, and we've always proud, and I think I can speak for everybody on the panel today, that we're just proud of what we do. And it's rewarding in so many different ways to be able to work in public health.
Yeah, that's Lily. Lily, I'm sorry, I just lost my point. I'm Lily Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Lily, since we're there, before we get to you, Krista, because I definitely want to get to you with this physical activity. Since we're already talking about careers, 2 things I want to ask. One, what happens with this information that you're getting this week? What happens next? Either Lily or Suzette or Krista, whoever can answer the question.
Basically, it's a variety of information, and we're sharing it out with our staff, with our workforce, with community partners, and we're hoping that it will actually be a call to action. is what the objective of it is. It's not just information for information's sake, but a call to action. What can you do to advance equity within your community? What can you do around climate justice? What can you do with it around the workforce? What can you do to strengthen your community? So it's a call to action for people to then take some of the ideas and suggestions from the website that you've shown throughout the show and utilize that information to help build bridges within their communities.
Right, great. Go ahead, Lily, were you going to chime in?
I just was going to add to that to say that Suzette said it great. You know, it is a call to action. Is really to get people to understand, again, kind of where they fit. But we really want to build a band of champions, public health champions, that are going to be willing to help us to educate the community on all of these topics, to keep them aware, so that, again, building that resilience up in time. So when we have to deal with anything else that faces the public like this, that we'll already have everybody on board, understanding the importance of it, and it'll just, you know, be much better for everyone as a whole.
Right. Krista, let me get you in here. I know that you, kind of work with getting people physically active. How can you get people more active? Especially, again, we're smack dab in the, I think we're in the middle. A lot of people say we're at the end, and I hope we're at the end.
That's right.
Right.
But good God Almighty, with the variants and folks, with the vaccine hesitation, how can we become more active? How can people become more active?
Yeah. So, I mean, physical activity, everyone knows the benefits for your physical health, but we talked about mental health too. And especially with COVID, it's really important for people to become active. And, although people may not feel comfortable about being active, in a gym setting or at a studio, just getting outside and getting moving is very important. And the resource guide that I've put together is mainly for the DPP program and lifestyle coaches, but there's so many different resources and information in this guide for the general audience and all individuals. So, in there we have goal setting, we have information on physical activity and different activities. But what I think is really important for people to know is that, physical activity doesn't mean exercise. A lot of people think that means, oh, I need to go to the gym. I need to do this thing that I really don't enjoy. But being active is just getting moving, whatever that is to you. If you like to bake, if you're kneading bread, like that's a workout right there. That's activity. Just going for a walk.
But then you got to eat it, girl. Then you got to eat all the
Hey, make it whole wheat. Make it whole wheat bread. Get that right there. But just going for a walk or, playing in the backyard with your kids or your grandkids, just doing something to get up and moving, get your blood pumping, get your heart rate up. Not only will it be good for your physical health, like I said, you'll feel better. That feeling after you're active is wonderful. You'll be more productive. You'll be able to be happier and have more energy. So getting active is very important with COVID, especially if you're cooped up in your home, if you're working from home. Just take like a 10-minute break and just go for a quick walk, around your block, or even just if you have a stairwell in your home, just go up and down the stairs a couple times and you will feel different. You may be a little tired, but you're also going to be more productive. Or even just standing at your desk, like take a couple breaks where you're just standing. And then when people are getting back into the office, bring a water bottle and walk down to the furthest station for you to fill up your water bottle or something, just getting active. And, with COVID and with your family, there's so many different ways that you can do this. And now that the weather is getting nicer, hopefully you don't have too bad of allergies, with everything out there right now. But just get out in the sun, get out and just do a little bit of movement, try and get as many people, safely that you can, your family, or if you're vaccinated, just get out. You'll feel better. Your heart will thank you. And in this resource guide, we have a lot of resources around South Carolina for you to go outside. We have resources for outdoor recreation. So the state parks and different places around the state that you can just go be outside. There's so many different trails around the state for you to go that are beautiful. And then there's also a good amount of resources, if you do like to be, inside and doing something with other people, A lot of gyms are taking some precautions to make it safe for them, to come back and be in there. So, this resource will be up on the Coaches Circle, and it's available for anyone who will want to access it. It's not up there yet, but it's in the works of getting up there. But there really are, and through DHEC, there's so many different resources for you to use to become more active. And, like I said before, you don't have to think of it as exercise. Just find something that you enjoy, even if it's just cleaning around your house and just dancing to music that you like. Make it something that you enjoy, because then it's going to be something that you stick with. And it's not going to seem, like a chore for you to do. Just do something you enjoy. It doesn't have to be the same thing that someone else is telling you. And, today is National Walking Day. So just get out, go for a walk, 5-10 minutes or however long you have. And that'll just be a really good start to getting to be your happiest and healthiest self.
Yeah, I love, Krista, that you say it's not as much exercise as it is just movement. Just move,
Yes.
Just get up and move.
Yeah. And, not everyone likes to go and sweat and work super hard. Like, you don't have to do that to get the benefits of being active. You don't have to do something you don't enjoy. So if, you've been struggling to be active and that you really, are setting goals for that, just like I said, find something that you really enjoy and just stick with that. It doesn't matter, if it doesn't work for someone else. If you like it, that's all that matters.
Right. And then, talk a little bit about how you can get your family involved too.
Yeah, so there's so many different things that you can do with your family. I think, a really good place to start is just looking at trails that are around where you live. There's so many state parks. There's so many hiking trails, places by the river, just to go for a walk, and you can see all the wildlife. You can, just be out in the good weather. And then be outside. If you have a safe place to do so, just kick a soccer ball around if you have kids, or toss the baseball around. Just really anything that you and your family will enjoy to do is better than doing nothing, So maybe instead of, having your kids play video games, maybe just go for a family walk, or play a game where, you're moving around and just being active.
Yeah. That's Krista Kesak, Physical Resources for the Community. Suzette McClellan also joins us. She's a Community Service Director with the PD, and Lily Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Lily, you shared this information, the Vax volunteer at dhec.sc.gov. I posted that in the chat. If you want more information, as Lily mentioned, about volunteering, and as we get ready to wrap, but going to talk just briefly about the career opportunities that Suzette and Lily already kind of covered. I think a good way to start would be maybe to volunteer. You think, ladies?
I totally agree. And in conversations, that's what we feel from them, because they're unsure about the scope of the level of work and what's going to be involved, because a lot of people hear, and I'm just going to say this, a lot of people hear often that, oh, you don't make any money with the state, and sometimes that's the first thing that people are saying. But I tell people, when you balance that with what you love to do, the passion that you bring to the position, it balances out. The benefits, it balances out. And that is so rewarding overall. And so a lot of people say, well, I just want to test it out. I want to try it. So maybe I can volunteer. And I know a lot of times on the community side, we get a lot of volunteers and they fall in love. They love the work that they do. They love that feeling that they get. And a lot of times they do want to start, even if it's just a shadow for a few days, or go to some of the vaccine sites, or even just come into the health department and just work with some of the ones one-on-one on the front line. It really makes a difference for them to volunteer first. So I do hear that more often before they really get into the field. And we still do a lot of services with our students. We still work a lot with colleges. So when they reach out to us, we try to get them into roles. We try to find preceptors for them to sort of shadow, so that they at least are getting a feel, for some of the things that they've learned in their public health institutions, and they're able to apply it. And they really do learn firsthand that they are, really interested in this work.
Yeah, so if you want more information, vaxvolunteer at dhecsc.gov. And then Lily, you also put the website, the Public Service Reserve Corps at scserve.gov. Because as you ladies said, there are several positions, types of positions available within public health. What about education? What kind of background do you need, and interests and skill levels?
In terms of education, we have a lot of individuals who do have a degree in public health. There are public health programs throughout the state at several colleges and universities. Some programs start out with health science programs at bachelor's level, or health education programs, health promotion programs, and public health degrees, bachelor and master's degrees in public health. So that's a place to start. But also we need individuals who have communication degrees because they work with the media. We have individuals with environmental degrees. We have individuals with business degrees that handle the monies and the funds within the agencies, the various agencies. So there's so many careers and so many different majors that individuals could go into. Some people go into education as a major and then utilize that. Social workers, we have social workers, we have nurses. So all of these various degrees, we have physicians, public health physicians. So all of these various degrees that you could have and work in the field of public health. But I think Lily said it best when she said people in public health are passionate about public health, and individuals who are in public health stay in public health. Graduate students like Krista who come and work in it, we have a passion for the public and helping the public. And that is why we're really in public health.
All right. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Krista Keesack, Physical Resources for the Community, Suzette McClellan, Community Service Director at the PD, and Lily Hall, Community Service Director and COVID Outreach and Engagement Chief for the Upstate. Several links that we've shared throughout the day. We've got the links scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And of course, in the comment section, the Public Health Reserve Corps can be found at scserve.gov. Also, if you are interested in volunteering, we have the website for that also, which is vaxvolunteer at sc.gov. And then thank you, Lily, for posting the information about additional physical activity resources. You can see that website there also. It's called Eat Smart Move More, of course, Eat Smart Move More, sc.org, and you can get access to their COVID-19 resource page. Check out all of those websites, get the information you need, and then, of course, don't forget to go to the nphw.org, the National Public Health Week.org, because they've got additional resources on that website also. Ladies, thank you again so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for the resources that you have provided today, and that the work that you do every day. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Don't forget, we've shared several resources today. So don't forget to check out those websites and get the information you need about public health, whether you want to get moving a little bit more, whether you need the resources as far as a volunteer or a job or a career, please check it out. Hey, want to shout out Superior Edwards. Thank you so much, Superior. You missed at the beginning of the show. Yeah, it's probably been 2 years since I've worn my hair out, and it's hot. Well, not the hair is hot, but it is hot. I don't know how long I'm going to be wearing it. But shout out to Samantha Clee, who did my hair. I appreciate you, beautiful, so much. So listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please inbox me at the Taylor Made Production page. We would love to get your story on the show. If you've got a product or service that can help someone cope with COVID, you can see the information at the bottom of the screen. Please email copingwithtreytaylor@gmail.com. And we would love for you to be a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like In It Together SC and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Our other sponsors include Agape Counseling and Training Center, Javis Tax Services, also the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connections, the Comet Bus System, and Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall. Coming up tomorrow, we are going to talk with the folks at the Comet Bus System. They'll talk about their COVID vaccination outreach. They've got some new programs that they're going to talk about, and also Fairs. That's tomorrow on Coping with COVID. And then Friday, we're going to talk on Faith Friday, an amazing story about two brothers who overcame the stigma and label of being disabled to being just great medical professionals. It's the Allen brothers, Dwight and Dwayne Allen. We're going to talk to them Faith Friday. And then next Wellness Wednesday, it's National Minority Health Week. And we'll talk to some folks about that. That's coming up next on Coping with COVID. Well, I've been reading 100 Days Believing Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels. And you guys know I usually do the Jesus Calling, but I'm believing God for something big in these 100 days. And I want to share with you this one from her, and knowing God and hearing you. The scripture says, this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything in his will, he hears us. Here's the devotion. Faith is having a steadfast belief in something or someone without having proof. It's hopeful, optimistic, and looks toward the future with possibility and expectancy. Trust is similar, but it's more about actively relying upon someone's character and consistency. When we operate within trust, we're able to take action based on that person's integrity and reliability. For that reason, trust is harder than faith. We can believe that God is capable of all things, but it's another thing to fully entrust God with every area of our lives. But by entrust, I mean to act as if God has already worked things out versus questioning if he'll come through. So the question becomes, do you have faith in our God being capable and able, but struggle to trust whether God is willing and ready? If so, you're not alone. Every day, God is seeking to strengthen our entire belief system and teaching us to align with his heart. That doesn't mean that God will necessarily answer in the ways that we want. That's neither faith nor trust. However, as the verse above reminds us, when we come to God in a posture of surrender, we can trust that he is listening and hears every single word. The prayer is, Lord, I am humbled and encouraged that you are wholeheartedly interested in every facet of my life. Thank you for hearing me and keep me in alignment with your Holy Spirit. That's your devotion as we read 100 Days of Believing Bigger. It's a devotional journal by Marshawn Evans Daniels. I hope you get what you want in this 100 days. And I hope you continue to trust and believe and have faith that God is hearing and he's listening. You just have to believe that he's going to work it out in his way and not yours. I'm Trey Taylor. Thank you so much for joining us again on Coping with COVID. Take care. God bless. Be safe. Don't forget, get your vaccine, and you still got to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Have a great one.
Coping with COVID and In It Together present Wellness Wednesday, brought to you by the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina and DHEC's Division of Diabetes and Heart Disease Management.
Coping with COVID with Trey Taylor.